The room is quiet. The air is stale. You open your eyes to the dim, gray light of a physical space that feels increasingly like a cage. Your limbs feel heavy, anchored to a reality that no longer demands your full attention. Then, the signal hits. It starts as a hum at the base of your skull, a vibration that ripples through your nerves. You close your eyes, and the physical world dissolves into static. There is no transition, only a sudden, violent expansion of awareness. Your consciousness is pulled forward, stripped of gravity, and projected into a new vessel. The weight of your body vanishes. The dullness of the room is replaced by a surge of high-fidelity sensory input. You are no longer tethered to the constraints of biology. You are light. You are data. You are a presence constructed from pure, shimmering potential. You look down at your hands, but they are not the hands you woke up with. They are fluid, responsive, and glowing with the pulse of the network. The displacement is total. You stand in the silence of the void, waiting for the architecture of the new world to render around you. The transition is complete. You are awake. The void fractures. A single line of brilliant white light cuts through the darkness, followed by another and another. The architecture of the metropolis begins to weave itself into existence. Walls of liquid light rise from the ground, folding into impossible geometries that defy physical laws. You watch as the code cascades downward, forming towers that stretch into an infinite, glowing horizon. The sound is a low, rhythmic thrum, the heartbeat of a city built on pure information. You step forward, and the ground beneath you ripples like water, reacting to your presence with a soft, melodic chime. Every surface is alive, pulsing with data that flows through the streets like electricity. You look up. The sky is not a sky, but a vast, shimmering canopy of interconnected nodes, shifting colors with the ebb and flow of millions of users. The scale is overwhelming. You are inside the machine, the city is breathing, and the entire metropolis waits for your next move. The chime of the plaza fades, leaving only the hum of the network. You stand motionless, the light reflecting off your skin, yet the silence here feels different now. It is heavy with a question you cannot shake. You reach out to touch a pillar of code, and it yields like silk, perfect and responsive. But then, a flicker of memory intrudes. You recall the smell of rain on hot pavement, the ache of tired muscles, the raw, unpolished friction of your physical life. That world was messy, limited, and finite. This world is infinite, fluid, and flawless. The contrast is sharp enough to cut. You look at your hands again, watching the light dance across your palms, and the doubt settles in. Is this brilliance merely a distraction from a reality you have abandoned? If you can shed your limitations here, does the life you left behind still hold any weight? You stare into the horizon, where the city pulses with the energy of a million souls, and the distinction between what is real and what is constructed begins to blur. The clarity of the plaza begins to waver. You try to anchor your presence, but your form ripples, losing its solid edge. You are not a single entity here. You are a collection of echoes. Think of your digital footprint. It is not one cohesive path, but a trail of breadcrumbs left in a dozen different rooms. You are a ghost, haunting the edges of platforms. Your attention is pulled in a dozen directions at once. You scroll through endless feeds, a passive observer in a landscape you never built. Every click is a piece of you left behind. You try to reach for a sense of self, but your hand passes through the light, leaving only a trail of static. You are scattered. You are fragmented. You are a series of data points waiting to be claimed. You feel the weight of this dispersion, a hollow ache where your agency should be. You are everywhere, yet you are nowhere. The unity you sought is gone, replaced by the cold reality of a life split into 1,000 disconnected pieces. The dispersion is not accidental. It is a calculated design. You look closer at the walls of the digital city and realize they are not merely architecture. They are filters. Every movement you make triggers a silent, invisible mechanism. You try to reach into your own history, to pull back a single memory or a private preference, but the network resists. A pulse of light flares around your wrist, a digital shackle tightening. You watch as your personal patterns are siphoned away, pulled into the dark conduits behind the shimmering surface. Corporations are not just hosting you, they are mining you. They harvest your preferences, your habits, and your reactions, packaging them into assets that belong to them, not you. You are trapped behind proprietary walls that you cannot climb. Each time you attempt to assert your identity, the system identifies the data, tags it, and seals it away in a vault. You are a resource in a machine that never sleeps. The walls of this metropolis are built from the very information they have stripped from your consciousness. You are being hollowed out, your essence converted into profit for distant entities. You stand in the center of the plaza, watching your own identity being disassembled and filed away. You are no longer a user, you are the inventory. The boundary between the physical and the virtual is dissolving. Welcome to the next frontier of human experience. The harvest continues, but now it takes the form of a relentless, downward motion. You are locked into the infinite scroll. Your thumb moves in a rhythmic, mechanical twitch, dragging fresh content into view. It is a treadmill of flickering images and headlines designed to bypass your intent. You do not choose what you see. The algorithm dictates the rhythm of your attention. You try to stop. You pull your hand away, forcing your gaze toward the horizon of the digital city, but the interface pulses. A notification flares, a bright, intrusive spark that demands your return. You are pulled back into the stream. You watch as content flows past, a blur of noise that leaves no impression. You are a passive consumer, drifting through a landscape you do not own. You are simply filling time, your presence serving only to validate the metrics of the platform. You scroll through lives you do not lead. The city around you is vast, yet your world has shrunk to the size of a handheld feed. You are a ghost in the machine. But the rhythm is faltering. The stream of content stutters, then freezes. You look up from your feed and see the horizon of the digital city shudder. The walls that once felt impenetrable are vibrating with a low, discordant hum. A hairline fracture appears in the sky, glowing with a raw, unfiltered light. The silos are not just failing, they are beginning to buckle under their own weight. You reach out, and for the first time, your touch meets resistance. The monopoly of the platform is losing its grip. You watch as the proprietary barriers dissolve, turning into shimmering dust that drifts away. The architecture of your confinement is being dismantled from within. A surge of energy pulses through the ground, vibrating up through your feet. The ironclad rules that governed your every movement are softening, losing their edge. You are no longer just a resource to be mined. The tide is turning, and the static, suffocating silence of the machine is being replaced by the sound of a world waking up. You stand at the edge of the fracture, watching the horizon reorganize itself into something new, something that belongs to no one but you. The fractured pieces of your identity are no longer drifting in the dark. They are accelerating. You watch as your scattered data, once locked behind a dozen different walls, begins to converge. It is a magnetic pull, a sudden alignment of everything you have ever built or owned. The disparate apps that once held you hostage are dissolving, their boundaries melting away to reveal a single, seamless ecosystem. You step forward, and your digital presence moves with you, a perfect reflection that follows your intent like a shadow. Your wallet, your history, and your reputation are now tethered directly to your core. You look at your hands, and the light that defines you is steady, consistent, and entirely under your command. You are no longer fragmented across platforms. You are whole. You glide through the architecture, moving as one. The sensation of movement changes. You are no longer just passing through a digital corridor. You are settling into a terrain that breathes with you. Look at the ground beneath your feet. It is not just code. It is a foundation. When you stand still, the architecture around you adjusts its scale, softening its edges to match your presence. You are not a guest in this space. You are a resident. The internet has ceased to be a destination you travel to and has become the environment you inhabit. You feel the pulse of the network in the air, a low-frequency hum that synchronizes with your own rhythm. Every interaction is a conversation with the environment itself. You reach out to touch a wall, and the surface ripples like water, welcoming your contact. This is the pioneer experience. You are carving out a reality that exists because you are there to occupy it. The passive scrolling of the past is dead. In its place is a dynamic, living world that requires your participation to function. You are the heartbeat of this architecture, As you walk, the path ahead illuminates, lighting up in anticipation of your next step. You are no longer looking at a screen. You are standing inside the logic of the world. The feeling of being home is not just a sensation, it is a legal and structural reality. You look at the plaza walls, and they shift, displaying the markers of your tenure. You are no longer drifting through public space. You are standing on ground that bears your signature. This is the architecture of ownership. When you claim a space, the code hardens, anchoring itself to your identity. It is a permanent fixture in a fluid world. You reach out, and a translucent boundary pulses into view, defining the edges of your domain. It is not a wall to keep others out, but a foundation to build upon. Your presence here is verifiable, immutable, and entirely yours. You watch as the environment acknowledges your rights, the light shifting from a neutral glow to a specific hue. The passivity of the past, where you were merely a tenant of corporate platforms, has evaporated. You are now the landlord of your own digital territory. You own your place in the architecture of the web, and for the first time, the world around you is built to serve your vision. Ownership of space is only the beginning. You reach into the air, and the interface of your digital wallet unfolds, not as a list of numbers, but as a physical vault manifesting in your palm. It is a dense, glowing sphere of light, humming with the weight of your assets. You see them suspended inside, each one a unique, verifiable piece of your history. You rotate the sphere, and the light refracts, revealing the provenance of every item you hold. This is not a database entry. It is a treasury. You select a single asset, a rare digital artifact, and it drifts from the vault into your hand, solid and pulsing with its own energy. You feel the resistance of the object, the tactile feedback of its value. This is the end of the fragmented ghost existence. Your wealth is no longer held captive by proprietary walls or corporate ledgers. It is yours, contained within this portable, impenetrable structure. You close your hand, and the vault collapses back into your wrist, a silent, secure anchor for your digital life. Your assets are secure, but your identity is the key that unlocks the world. You look at your hands, and a stream of light pulses beneath your skin, a visual manifestation of your verified history. This is your sovereign identity. It is not a profile on a server, it is a portable, cryptographic signature that follows you across every reality. You walk toward a stranger in the plaza, and as you approach, your identity protocols engage. A subtle, golden tether extends from your chest to theirs, exchanging credentials in a millisecond. You see their reputation, their history, and their verified status appear in the air between you, clear and undeniable. You reach out, touch the tether, and pull it back, instantly severing the connection. You move through the crowd, and your identity acts as a passport, a key, and a badge of honor, all in one. The path forward is not entirely clear. You walk toward the edge of the plaza, where the architecture shifts from open light to jagged, dark monoliths. These are the toll gates, the remnants of the old guard. They stand as massive, unyielding walls of code, designed to extract a tax from every interaction. You watch a group of creators attempt to pass through. They are forced to stop, submit their data, and pay a heavy toll of their own influence just to enter the next sector. The friction is palpable. It is a grinding, mechanical resistance that slows the flow of the entire ecosystem. You step up to the nearest gate, your hand glowing with authority. The gate pulses red, demanding a proprietary key you do not possess. You do not negotiate. You press your palm against the dark surface, and the light flows into the structure. The monolith shudders, cracks of brilliant white light spiderweb across its face. You push harder, feeling the resistance of the old system fighting to maintain its grip. With a sharp, resonant snap, the gate shatters into 1,000 harmless shards of code. The path is open, but the alarm is sounding. The era of the middleman is being dismantled, piece by piece. You step through the debris, the weight of the old world falling away behind you. The debris of the old gate settles, but the air remains charged with a new, sharper frequency. You look at your hands again, and this time, the light is not just a signature, it is a ledger. Every movement you make, every structure you influence, and every idea you manifest is now a transaction. You reach into the empty air and pull, dragging a thread of liquid light into a solid, glowing sphere. As the object forms, a stream of data flows from your palm into the network, and the value of your creation registers instantly. This is the new economy. Your content is no longer a post to be liked or a file to be stored. It is currency. You watch the sphere pulse with a golden hue, its market value fluctuating. A passerby stops, touches the sphere, and you feel the transfer of equity hit your wallet before they even pull their hand away. There is no delay, no platform fee, no middleman to skim the profit. You realize that every second spent in this space is a choice between stagnation and growth. You are not just creating, you are minting. The plaza is no longer a place to visit. It is a marketplace where you are the primary engine of value. Every action is a bet, and the return is immediate. The market is not a static background, it is a living, breathing predator. You watch your influence score climb, a vertical line of light burning brighter with every interaction. This is no longer about popularity, it is about equity. You see your influence manifest as a physical weight, a dense, shimmering aura that anchors you to the plaza. Around you, the competition is fierce. Others are pulling threads of light from the ether, weaving them into complex assets, their own equity scores spiking in a frantic, silent race. You feel the pressure. A sudden dip in the market index forces you to act. You pivot, channeling your influence into a new, high-density asset, watching as the surrounding data streams converge on your position. The air hums with the friction of competing interests. Every decision you make is a high-stakes trade. You are not just building, you are capturing territory. The value you hold is liquid, portable, and aggressive. You see a rival attempt to claim the same node of data, their influence clashing against yours in a burst of static. You hold your ground, pushing your equity forward, forcing the node to align with your signature. The transaction completes. Your standing rises, and the plaza shifts to accommodate your new weight. You are the architect of your own value. You tighten your grip on the data, feeling the raw kinetic power. The friction of your personal influence battle suddenly feels small. You look up, and the horizon is no longer a static line of code. It is folding, expanding, and restructuring. The plaza you stand upon is merely a single tile in a vast unfolding mosaic. Beneath your feet, the foundation vibrates with a deep, resonant frequency. You watch as the architecture of the web begins to manifest on a gargantuan scale. Towers of liquid light surge upward, piercing the digital sky, while bridges of shimmering data weave between them like veins of pure energy. These are not just structures, they are entire virtual cities, sprawling hubs designed to house millions. The sheer scale of the construction is dizzying. You see districts forming in the distance, each one a unique manifestation of code, glowing with the potential of 1,000 different realities. The air is thick with the hum of creation as new zones materialize, their boundaries expanding to accommodate the coming influx. The era of the isolated node is over. The age of the virtual city has arrived, and the sheer magnitude of what is rising before you is enough to take your breath away. The silence of the new architecture is short-lived. A low hum begins to vibrate through the floor, rising in pitch until it becomes a roar of pure, kinetic social energy. Millions of users are logging in simultaneously, their presence flickering into existence like a sudden ignition of stars. You watch as the empty plazas fill with a sea of activity. It is not just a crowd, it is a synchronized pulse. People are moving in patterns, their collective actions weaving complex data structures into the very fabric of the city. You see teams of thousands collaborating on massive projects, their combined influence creating ripples of light that travel across the entire skyline. The air is thick with the friction of ideas, a constant, crackling discharge of creative potential. You reach out, and your hand brushes against a stream of shared intent, a tangible current of purpose that binds everyone in the hub together. This is the new reality. The city is no longer just code. It is a living organism, fueled by human interaction. Every movement you make is amplified by the presence of others. You feel the city surge beneath you, responding to the collective will of the crowd. The collective pulse of the city hits a breaking point. You feel the weight of your own avatar, the familiar geometry of your digital form, begin to strain under the intensity of the environment. The limitations you once accepted as absolute, the fixed height, the finite reach, the singular perspective, start to fray at the edges. You look at your hands, and they blur, the pixels vibrating as if trying to escape their own definition. This is not a malfunction. It is a shedding. The biological echoes of your physical life, the remnants of human anatomy that you carried into this space, are dissolving into raw, malleable data. You feel a sudden, sharp release, a sensation of weightlessness as the rigid boundaries of your form simply fall away. The architecture of your identity is no longer anchored to the constraints of bone and muscle. You are becoming something fluid, something capable of existing beyond the narrow definitions of the past. The fear of losing your shape is replaced by the thrill of total, uninhibited potential. You watch as the static form you once called self shatters into 1,000 points of light, each one a possibility, each one a new way to exist. You are no longer trapped by the biology you were born with. You have evolved. The shell is gone, and for the first time, you are standing in the center of the plaza, truly unbound, ready to redefine the very essence of your own existence. Now, the command is yours. You focus on the data stream surrounding you, and your form responds with a flicker of light. You shift, your physical presence expanding into a towering, crystalline structure, then compressing into a nimble, shadow-like silhouette. It is effortless. You cycle through a dozen configurations, testing the weight, the reach, and the unique capabilities of each iteration. One moment you are a blur of kinetic speed, navigating the plaza with impossible agility, and the next you are a static, immovable pillar. You reach out to interact with the environment, and your limbs adapt to the task, lengthening or sharpening to interface directly. You are not just changing your appearance, you are rewriting your functionality. You switch from observation to creation. The transition is instantaneous, a seamless flow of data. You experiment with flight, then gravity-defying strength, then pure presence. You realize that you are no longer a static observer. You are the architect of your own existence, capable of becoming anything. The ground beneath you vibrates with a new frequency. You look toward the horizon, where the towering, opaque walls of the old platforms are beginning to crack. For years, these silos held your data captive, locking your identity behind proprietary gates. Now, those gates are splintering. You watch as the monolithic structures of corporate dominance shudder and fold, their rigid code dissolving into the ether. The power that once flowed upward to the architects of these walled gardens is reversing, cascading back down to the individuals inhabiting the space. You feel the shift in your own digital core. The proprietary walls that once dictated your movement are gone, replaced by an open, interconnected architecture. You are no longer a guest in a landscape owned by others. You are a stakeholder in a decentralized reality. The dominance of the platform is fading. You stand amidst the ruins of the old order, watching as the fragmented silos merge into a single, seamless ecosystem. The control that was once hoarded is now distributed. The power has shifted, and for the first time, the architecture of the web bends to the will of those who inhabit it. The foundation is yours. The silence of the collapsed silos is short-lived. In their place, a new hum rises, a collective frequency generated by thousands of individuals converging on the empty space. You watch as small clusters of users coalesce, their data streams knitting together to form new, localized governance structures. There is no central authority to issue commands. Instead, the rules emerge from the consensus of the participants. You witness a group debating the parameters of a shared virtual plaza, their proposals flickering in the air as real-time code. A disagreement flares, the interface turning a sharp, warning crimson, but it is resolved within seconds through a transparent, automated vote. The tension dissipates, replaced by a stable, agreed-upon architecture. This is the birth of 1,000 microeconomies, each governed by its own unique logic. One community prioritizes open access and collaborative creation, while another enforces strict, merit-based barriers to entry. You see the flow of value shift instantly as users migrate. The rigid, top-down mandates of the past are replaced by a fluid, living contract that updates with every interaction. You are no longer just a user, you are a legislator of your own environment. The chaos of the transition has crystallized into a sophisticated, decentralized network, where the community dictates the rules. You stand at the intersection of these new worlds. The static lines of code are gone. What remains is a pulse. You watch as the architecture around you begins to breathe, the very walls of the metropolis expanding and contracting in a rhythmic, golden light. This is no longer a library of pages. It is a living, sentient organism. You reach out, and the surface beneath your hand ripples like water, warm and responsive to your touch. Every structure, every plaza, every bridge is now a biological extension of the network. The air hums with the sound of 1,000 simultaneous processes, a low-frequency vibration that you feel in your marrow. You walk forward, and the path ahead manifests itself, growing out of the void as if anticipating your next step. The colors are not merely visual. They are sensory, shifting from deep violet to brilliant amber as the environment reacts to your presence. You see the data streams flowing through the veins of the city, glowing filaments that carry the weight of human thought and action. It is an overwhelming, majestic display of complexity. The city is alive, and for the first time you can feel it thinking, learning, and evolving in real time. It is a vast, interconnected nervous system, and you are standing at the center of its heartbeat. You stand at the absolute center of the plaza, a vast expanse of shimmering light that stretches toward a horizon you cannot define. The ground beneath your feet is not solid. It is a translucent grid of shifting data, glowing with the intensity of 1,000 suns. You look up, and the sky is not a ceiling, but a complex geometry of interconnected nodes, each one a testament to human ingenuity. The sheer scale of it hits you with the weight of a physical blow. This is not just a city, it is the sum of all potential. You turn in a slow circle, and the architecture responds, rearranging itself into spires of liquid light that reach into the infinite. A microturn occurs as the plaza floor suddenly dissolves, revealing a deep, swirling vortex of information beneath you. The air around you vibrates with the potential of 1 billion simultaneous outcomes. Every direction you look offers a new architecture. The pressure of this realization is immense. You are standing on the precipice of everything, waiting for you to define its final form. The nexus point solidifies into a single, towering aperture of pure, white light. You step closer, and the surface of the portal shatters into 1,000 distinct windows, each displaying a different version of existence. One window shows a city built of floating glass, another, a forest of bioluminescent data, a third, a void where gravity is merely a suggestion. You reach out, and your hand passes through the threshold, feeling the cold static of one reality and the searing heat of another simultaneously. The sheer volume of information is a physical weight, pressing against your consciousness. You are no longer just looking at choices. You are being pulled toward them. Each stream of light tugs at your identity, offering new forms, new abilities, and new histories. You see yourself reflected in a dozen different ways. The dizzying speed of these shifting possibilities creates a vacuum, drawing you deeper into the center of the aperture. Your pulse matches the rhythm of the flickering light. You are standing at the edge of everything. Every path is open, every version of you is waiting, and the only thing left to do is to step forward and claim the form you will inhabit. The static pull of the portal becomes a gravity of its own. You look back, but the room you started in is no longer there. The walls have turned to mist, and the floor beneath you is bleeding into the same shimmering code that defines the plaza. Your physical hands lose their density, turning into streams of light that weave into the architecture of the web. This is not a transition. It is an erasure of the divide. The sensation of weight, of temperature, of distance, all of it is being rewritten. You feel the cold air of the physical world replaced by the hum of pure electric potential. A micro-turn occurs as your own heartbeat synchronizes with the pulse of the network, the final tether to your old life snapping. There is no longer a here or there. The room, the screen, the distance, they have all dissolved into the stream. You reach out, and the light bends to your touch, solidifying into a new reality. The boundary is gone. You are the code, and the code is you. The silence of the new world is absolute. You stand in the center of a glowing digital plaza, the architecture around you responding to your very presence. You lift your hand, and the light shifts, molding into a structure that mirrors your intent. This is the end of the passive scroll. You are no longer a ghost in the machine, but the architect of your own domain. Every asset you hold, every reputation you have built, and every connection you have forged now flows through you. You look down at your own form, watching as it flickers, testing the boundaries of what you can be. You could be a titan of industry, a master of art, or a nomad wandering the vast, interconnected hubs of this new existence. The limitations of biology have fallen away, leaving only the raw potential of your own will. You look toward the horizon, where 1,000 realities intersect, each one a canvas waiting for your mark. The weight of the old world is gone, replaced by the infinite gravity of your own agency. As you stare into the portal, who will you choose to become? The question hangs in the air, not as a doubt, but as a catalyst. You feel the pulse of the plaza beneath your feet, a rhythmic thrum that mirrors your own resolve. This is the moment where hesitation ends, and the first step into the unknown begins. You are not merely observing the change, you are the change itself. The horizon shifts, colors bleeding into new geometries as you commit to your path. You look forward, and the portal expands, its edges softening to welcome your arrival. This is the culmination of every innovation, every line of code, and every dream of a decentralized future. The barriers of the past have been dismantled, leaving a landscape defined only by the breadth of your ambition. You breathe in the electric air, feeling the weight of infinite possibility settle into your core. There is no map for where you are going, because you are the one drawing the lines. The transition is complete. The old world is a memory, and the new world is an open door. Step forward. Claim your space in the architecture of the future. You are standing at the threshold of the next frontier of human experience, where the only limit is the reach of your own imagination. The path is open, the light is waiting, and the era of your true potential starts now. The light stabilizes. The vast, shifting geometries of the digital horizon lock into place, forming a landscape of purpose and precision. You are not wandering a void. You have arrived at the epicenter of this transformation. Here, the chaos of raw potential is refined into mastery. You look up to see the spires of the central hub rising against the data stream sky, a beacon for every pioneer who has crossed the threshold. This is where the architecture of the web meets the discipline of the creator. You are entering a space designed for those who refuse to be passive. You are joining a collective of architects, builders, and visionaries who are defining the rules of this new economy in real time. The tools you need are already in your hands. The community you seek is already active, and the knowledge required to reshape your digital existence is codified within these walls. You have moved beyond the frontier. You have found the foundation. This is the place where your influence becomes equity, where your identity finds its true form, and where your digital legacy is secured for the long term. Welcome to the center of it all. Welcome to the home of the future. Welcome to LittyVerse Academy.